Welcome. Hey, Sirda. Welcome. Welcome, bro. Come on in, everybody. Salam, salam, Sirda. Good to see you. Yo, baby walk. Welcome. Welcome in, everybody. Salam, salam. Come on in. Pretty excited to show you guys this. And get ready for launching this next week. I think it'll be quite an amazing thing. Hey, my clothes brush. Hey, nothingness. Come on in, everybody. How is everyone doing? Hey, Skaz. How are you? Kia ora, everybody. Kia ora, my clothes brush. Running on a couple hours sleep for the past 24 hours. Oh, shit. All right, friends. We're going to go through the investigative platform, and I'm going to give you a demo of where it's at. It's been a lot of work, but made a lot of progress. Made a hell of a lot of progress, and I'm keen to show it to you guys. Very keen to show it to all of you. Come on in. Oh, gosh. I didn't even do my hair properly today. I'm just straight in because I was just working on this thing. I'm just straight into it. Didn't even spend the time to get ready. Welcome in, friends. Welcome in. Hey, Valkarunka, welcome. Woo! Okay. Okay, welcome in, folks. Welcome in. One of the things that I've been working on over the last few weeks, I've presented this to you before. That would be this platform, which is about providing our community in the first instance a way to investigate various different cases. The first case that's been implemented in this platform is the Epstein files. Over 16,000 documents have been entered into the system, and I will be bulk importing before this platform goes live, which should be next week at some stage. I wanted it to go live on Friday, so tomorrow, but there's just been so much work on. I haven't been able to finish everything I wanted to. But we're close. We're really close. So the first case this platform covers is going to be the Epstein files. Okay? So from a community perspective, the only way to get access to this platform is going to be through Discord. So if you're already in Discord, amazing. if you're not in Discord, get on Discord. So the only way to log into this platform will be if you belong to our Discord group. So this is our dashboard basically. There'll be onboarding material for every new user onto this platform. There'll be training material, and the communities will be there to help out as well. I am going to be having a group chat with a few of the admins in the community, few administrators in the community, and we are going to go through everything that needs to be set up. Hey, Shiny, welcome. We are going to go through everything that needs to be set up. So on our side in the Discord community, we are going to be ready to onboard people who want access to this information. Okay. So what is this platform? The name that I have decided to go with is Lasso Trace, and it is about catching clues, tracing power, and building cases. So catching clues within the documents, and also building cases, which is quite cool. And Lasso is actually a tool within this platform that's been designed, on the basis of, we have Cletus. Cletus is a mascot that's going to be part of this platform, but Lasso is a tool that we use that we will. Oh gosh, they suspended my gifting for showing my own platform. Like, what the fuck is this, man? Bro, TikTok is just so shit, honestly. Anything copyright. I am showing my own site. Submit. Okay, whatever, man. It doesn't matter. TikTok is just gonna be shit. What am I gonna do? Hold on. What the heck? Is Twitch? Can you guys see me, Twitch? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. I think something happened with TikTok. Okay. Yeah, TikTok was frozen. It's all good. It's back. Okay, guys. So this is the platform, and every case that we put into this platform is going to have what we call a workspace. So I'm going to go to that workspace now, and we're going to check it out, okay? So this is just everything to do with the Epstein investigation. I'll come back to this. I will come back to that. But let's go into the workspace. So there are 16,000 documents, and you've all seen the screen. You've all seen this screen. I've been working through the Epstein files on this screen, and we've had a lot of files in here. We already have a lot of files in here. There's 99 more to process, but there's been a lot of additions as well. Okay, there's been a lot of additions. And you most of you have already seen, understand what entities and all of these things are. But look, there's training material on all of this, so I'm not going to delve into every single feature on this. But just so you know, there's been a lot of additional features that have been put into this. Okay, so the namesake. I want to talk to you about the namesake. Okay, the namesake feature is called Lasso. And one of the things we were doing on Miro was we were, finding evidence, and we would take screenshots and put it into a Miro board and draw lines, etc. None of that data was really stored or searchable or anything. We were just creating those links manually, and none of those links were particularly easy to dig down into. Now if we go into it, it'll be very hard to kind of go back into that board and get insights out of it if you didn't know what was going on. So the I guess the hero feature of this platform is called Lasso, and it allows us to find a clue. So identify a clue in a document. In this case, I have got an example of Karina. So this is Karina Shuliak, and being able to lasso this particular clue, right? So once you find a clue in one of these documents, you can then dig deeper and attach different things. You can attach different clues, so screenshots of websites or attaching different documents together, and adding notes to things. So I will show you guys what a lasso session looks like. So when you find a clue, you can start a lasso session and you can start linking things together. Okay, so I've just created an example of this, but you can start a lasso session for anything. So if you're going through the documents and you find a certain word or something that you want to dig deeper on, you can start a lasso session on anything. And then within the lasso session, you have abilities to search through all the files for that specific search term. So if I go Karina, right, and I search, everything with Karina is going to be sort of displayed on the screen. Everything with Karina. So say you find a reference to burger, right? And you want to dig deeper into that reference, that burger reference. And you're like, okay, this is code word for something. You could literally start a lasso session on the term burger, and you can start connecting nodes into that session. So I've searched Karina here, and here are all the documents that aren't part of my lasso session with Karina in it. Okay? So I can add these documents into the working session whenever I want. And when I add these documents into the lasso session, it adds it into our investigation graph. Okay? So now, with the evidence in the database that we're constantly reviewing and adding more information into, people can go in and they can dig as deep as they want and create more and more information, add more and more nodes, add more and more detail to whatever they want to do. You can link items too, right? So I've just added a document. And you can add a link. So I've just added this document, and let's just say, as an example, you want to link it to another document that was already in the session. You can create this link, and guess what? That link is saved in the database. It's saved in the back end. So that means you're starting to create all of these links. We're doing the Miro board style. We're doing the Miro board style linking, but all of those links are saved. Every single link is saved. Every single document is saved. Everything is centralized. So nothing goes away anywhere. So this is very different to something like a Miro board that allows you to like copy and paste, a screenshot and then link it. This is all, every time you link two things together, that gets saved in the database, and it's all searchable. It's all searchable. So the more links you create, the richer that data is going to be. Okay, so this now has gone from a tool where working through each file and trying to identify clues and dig deeper into those clues. It's now turned into a sort of library of links, library of information, library of clues that we can continue to add on top of. And it's persistent, so it's always going to be there. The great thing about a lasso session is once you start it, you can watch that lasso session. And that means when you're looking through documents, if there is a match of say that word, of that clue, Karina, in a document, you will get a notification. Okay? You will get a notification up here to say, hey, this document has a snippet, it has your clue in it. Right? So it is an investigative platform. It's an end-to-end investigation platform, and we're starting with Epstein. So Matt, if you want to add the Edison stuff into this, you can. You can create a case in this, start adding all of the Edison work into this, and then start to, keep it as a persistent database of things. Okay, so I think we've reached a stage in this platform now where we can truly start to investigate these cases like pros. Going through these files one by one is not easy, okay? But the harder part is once you identify this information, it's like, how do you store these relationships? Right? And it's all here in this platform. And what I want to do is just work on a few Epstein docs today and start to kind of flesh out what this looks like. All right. So let's start off. Let's keep it simple. Let's work on the Epstein files. There's 99 in the work queue. So let's just go through these. Let's go through these and learn how to use this platform, okay? So we've just come on to a new document here, 41402.pdf, and already we've got an indicator saying, yep, you've got the clue you captured that is present in this particular document, and you can either open a new session or add a document to a session. So I'm going to add this document to our existing session. We can also add capture more evidence on this document if we want for completeness. So we can, highlight Karina. We can save that as evidence. Let's just link it to. Let's link it to her entity. We can add a note if we want to, and we can save evidence. So all of this information is saved. It's every little detail. It's up to you. How much detail do you want to add in this? It's up to you. You can add as much detail as you want. You can add the original source URL. You can add the source author. You can add anything. The richer you want to make the information, it's up to you as a user, okay? So we'll mark that as reviewed. We've done that doc. Let's keep going. This particular document doesn't have the clue we have. The text is so small, I can't read anything. Hold on. I'll try. But at some stage, it will start to look a bit weird. But it's okay. It looks good. I can't zoom in all the way and make the text look any better. I'm sorry. It'll just mess up the... How will you wean out outliers? We have so when people join, they'll have different roles. So I am a platform administrator, and so I can do things like mark reviewed, sorry. But we're going to have different roles. There'll be people who are investigators. Hey, Hussein, welcome. There'll be people who are investigators. There'll be people who are reviewers or contributors and reviewers. And when those roles do certain things, we have a working queue, a review queue. So whenever, say, a contributor, adds something in, or reviews something or marks something as reviewed, reviewers or administrators can then go in and check out what people have added as being reviewed. So anything that contributors add into the system will be able to review. And that's how we want to keep the information as clean as possible. Matt, I don't know what you're talking about, Matt. I don't know if you're being funny or real. I have no clue what you're doing. Okay. So let's try this. Bebe to stay at HBRK. Hey Michi. So what the hell? We had a whole conversation about it with Rachel Corrie? With Rachel Corrie, Matt? I didn't realize it was for Rachel Corrie. Edison Motors. I think we need to dig deeper into that because I'm not particularly sure what the next steps on that are. Okay, look, we have HBRK here. You may want to understand what HBRK is. What HBRK is. I just have so much going on, Matt. I have so much going on at the moment. I'm just struggling to hold information at the moment. There's just a lot going on. You can start a lasso session, right? So a lasso session is when you want to dive deeper into a particular aspect of a clue. Okay? So we've got a clue. We've got a clue. What is HBRK? So we can have a clue. We can start a lasso session on a particular clue like this. The document we found the clue in. We can mark what the clue type is. We don't know. It could be an organization, I guess. Priority. Let's leave it at medium. Started from selected text in that, so text is already there. And basically, once you start this lasso session, it's ready to go. So if I go to lasso sessions now, I have my what is HBRK. If I open this, it's got all of my information there, HBRK, and we've got the source document here. And now I can go into search query and I can type in HBRK and search all the documents that have HBRK in it. Okay? But that's not just it. The whole point of this lasso session is to go beyond HBRK, right? So you found HBRK. Now you want to understand what HBRK is. So you may want to go through these different documents here. So let's open the source and let's look at what HBRK is in this document. Right? So HBRK Associations Inc. Thanks, Richard Khan, HBRK Association Inc. Okay, so this looks like Richard Khan's association or his company. So you can then build this evidence. Richard Khan. I'm just using this as an example, okay? So you can then add this to evidence, and you can also then add this document to the session. And once you've added this, hold up. Was hired by HBRK in 2012. Well, there you go. So, oh gosh, we got bugs. We got bugs, everybody. Hold on. Let me just restart. There we go. Let's go back to HBRK, and we've got the source document here. The source context. We can go back into that document. Let's go back to search query. HBRK. Let's look at add as working node because that's the document we marked. We marked the information in. Okay, so now we've got this as a working node. Add the document session. Let me just go back to the session. And we've got both the documents here. We'll add a link just to say these two documents are linked. The document has a link. The document has information about HBRK, which is part of Richard Kahn's signature. Email signature, sorry. So we can dig deeper. Why is Richard Kahn using this email signature? And then you've just added a link. I was going through. Welcome, Iham. You've just added a link, okay? So you've now created a relation, and now you want to search HBRK and Richard Kahn, right? So let's try HBRK Richard Kahn. See what we can find. Richard Kahn Associates. This situation is going to be educational. Going to connect the D9 dozer to Israel when it's out. Nice. So let's have a look at this document. This is the one we just completed. We can mark that as reviewed. And let's go back. Okay. Let's open the source. Is there anything here? Bebe to stay at HBRK. Hey, Leah, welcome. I'm just going through our tool that we have. Yeah, this is a usability feature that I could definitely improve for sure. Open source document. Let's open this one. Mark is reviewed. I can also search here. HBRK Associates. Let's just add this to document to session. Do we have more HBRK associates? Yes, this has HBRK as well. Yeah, Bebe to stay at HBRK. What does it mean to stay at HBRK? It says you want her to sit in for me next week. Shall I tell Bebe to stay at HBRK? Okay, she's just saying at the HBRK office. We already got this one. We've already got these. I think I added this document to the session. Okay, Mark is reviewed. All right. Yeah, I think HBRK, stay at HBRK means that it's in the office. So they are in the office at HBRK. I don't think it means like go live there. Walaikum assalam, Seven Sign. The other great thing about this is, so you are going through your investigation session. You're adding all of these documents to your investigation session, and you're adding more information. You can add notes. You can add more nodes. You can add links. You can add whatever you want to this, and you can continue to do as much as complex as you want it to be. But the great thing is, it starts off as private, but you can share it. You can share this session with other people so they can come in and also start to contribute to your session. So say you found a clue. And you've been following this clue and adding on all of this different information, all of this rich information. You've been like linking it to a whole bunch of different documents, to a lot of notes. You've built up this file of links. You can then share it with people. You can then share it with people on the platform, right? So you can ask for it to be reviewed. You can leave it as private. You can share it with a team. You can share it with a workspace, so everyone has the ability to view your case or your lasso session. And this is how we can collaborate on this too, guys. We can start to collaborate on investigations. So the Epstein Files is one investigation, and we'll jump right into it next week, okay? Hey, Doug, welcome. We're going to get into the Epstein Files next week on this platform, and we're going to start collaborating in Discord and on the platform, obviously. But we can add other investigative pieces. So say, for example, Matt, your investigation about Edison and D9 bulldozers and linking it to Israel. We can add that as a case, right? We can add that as a new case and assign you as the owner of that case. And you can coordinate, not just you, Matt, but like you can get people to collaborate with you to fill more information, right? So we can keep that case separate and you can lead that investigation however you want to do it, instead of saving information on, whatever platform you're using, like Miro or whatever it may be. You can start to have a system to query, visualize, and collaborate on. And it's free, right? Like this is not, I'm paying for the platform. And yeah, it does cost money, but I'd much rather have the community working on it and solving stuff, right? So whatever money I'm making from my live streams, etc., I am putting it into these platforms. So like I'll be investing into things like this. You're going to go to sleep? Okay. Take care, Matt. But there'll be other investigative pieces, guys, like police shooting you want to investigate. Maybe you want to start a new case about data centers, a particular data center. You can start a case about that. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, Rebel, welcome. Angela, welcome. There's many different types of cases we can put into this platform. Can I do one on ice? Absolutely, Jujus. You can do one on ice. Absolutely, and you should. If there's a particular ice case you want to create where you are tracking something that an ICE officer did and you want to collect a whole bunch of information and centralize it and make it searchable, then yes, absolutely you can. So next week, we're going to go live with the Epstein files. And by then, obviously, all of these little enhancements, etc., will be ready to go. But we can start to add new cases for people to go off and do their own investigations. But this is about collaborative investigation and doing it in a way where there's a community behind it and that you are supported to achieve whatever goal you want to achieve with your investigation. Like, we as a community can start to solve some of these cases. Like, imagine if we can actually get some of this information to lawyers, or get some of this information to other private investigators, or whatever it is, right? Like, we can start to gather data as a community and start to really put information together to get positive outcomes in the world. So there's a lot to do. Obviously, the platform is still developing. I have got lassotrace.com, $20. Bob's your uncle. And yeah, it's a public interest investigation platform. And guys, if you want to be part of this community where we are investigating these cases, with the Epstein investigation being the first active case on the platform, then join our Discord, because that is a great way for us to have a collaboration tool, not just on the platform, but off the platform as well. And it just means that we know who is on the platform, because otherwise, if I open it up to the world, from day one, we just cannot be. There'll be so many bugs and there'll be so many issues that need to get ironed out. It'll just be too hard to manage everything. No, it's the same camera. I've just made the thing bigger. I've just made my camera screen bigger. I haven't changed my camera. But guys, this is fucking exciting. If we can start off, get 10 to 20 people engaging on this platform to begin with, if we can get more, amazing. But if you want to engage on this platform, starting with the Epstein investigation, we can talk about more cases, but let's start with the Epstein investigation, and then go from there. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? And obviously, you'll have achievements and things like that to help you get trained on this platform as well. You will have all sorts of resources to help you become proficient on this app. Okay, you will have all sorts of resources. Oh, Marie, you should join. You should join our Discord and work your way through this. This is for everybody. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. And we have, I have made sure to implement a massive knowledge base with information about every feature on this platform. So you will have training modules, you will have progression tracking, onboarding. Hey, Shanna, articles to read if you get stuck. All of this. Okay, so you should not feel like it's too hard, or there'll be a community to help you. The other thing is we have this is not AI, guys. This is just a question and answer thing. This is Cletus. Quick question: do you like Larry David? Do you mean this guy? The thing about this, Marie, is the reason why I want to do it as a Discord community to begin with is I want to make sure that everyone has a good go at this tool with support. So we're going to have admins in our Discord channel who will be there to answer questions, etc. I'm catching up with them tomorrow. We're going to go over this platform. We're going to go over this platform with them, the details of this, how it's going to work, etc. So we're going to be ready to bring people onto this platform without just letting them, without just throwing people into the deep end. Like, this is about creating a community of investigators, and we can all contribute towards digging deeper into this information and truly trying to solve a case, right? So we're not trained investigators. So we need a way to work together to do this. And that's what this platform is about. It's about collaborating and working together. If you don't understand something, you just put your hand up in the community. And Discord is always there. Well, I'm pretty active. I think a few people, there are a fair few people who are active and sharing things all the time. So it's a really good place to collaborate too. Okay. Lasso Trace. Remember that name, everybody. Remember that name. Oh, it's coming together so well, everyone. It's coming together so well. Bits and bobs left, but it's only bits and bobs. Hey, Bono. But all the features are there. All the features are there now. Let's go. All right. Oh my gosh. I'm so fucking tired, bro. It's been nonstop, guys. It's been nonstop. But I think I honestly I really like this name. There's been a few names. Open Investigation was one of the names that we thought about. But Open Investigation, My Clothes Brush found that there's a podcast called Open Investigation Podcast. So that would have been a clash. And they were doing podcasts about investigations too. Random, all sorts of investigations. So I wanted a different name that tied the platform together. Lasso was really nice because Lasso, it's about bringing things together. Catching things and bringing them together. But also we have Cletus, right? We have Cletus. And how cool is it that we can tie Cletus into this with Lasso? So I was once Lasso came up as a word, I was like, yeah, we got to figure it out. We got to figure out how to use this. I'm excited. Jujus, think about your case as well. Think about your case. We will try and get the ICE case in there either next week or the week after, depending on onboarding and how much we're going to be doing. So think about your ICE case too to get it in here. We'll definitely start working on multiple cases pretty quickly. I figure that it's going to happen. Okay. All right, guys. That's Lasso Trace. Thank you so much for being here with me, going through file by file, 16,000 Epstein files one by one. It was very good practice to set this platform up. Very good practice. So we're gonna work through this, and it can become a collaborative community thing as well on these lives. I can't wait to use Cletus. Nice, Doug.
So there we are.
I have a shit ton of ideas to work from. Yeah. We'll put in all sorts of investigations in play. All right, guys. Let's keep moving. Let's talk about Iran. Look out for a notification on Lasso Trace early next week, okay? Let's talk about Iran. Here's Iran War Day 130.
It's been a dramatic day in the Iran war today. The main feature is that President Trump has said that the ceasefire is over. That was a pretty big statement. He also said that the Iranian leadership was scum, which is not what he was saying about them a couple of weeks ago. And the reason for that has been a three-stage escalation in the last 24, 36 hours. It began with some attacks by the Iranians on three ships, a gas tanker from Qatar, an oil tanker from Saudi Arabia, and another ship which only sustained very minor damage in this area towards the Omani coast. And those three ships were deliberately attacked, it seems, and in response, CENTCOM, Central Command, hit back with a number of strikes, and using NASA satellite imagery, Sky's data and forensics have confirmed quite a few of these strikes, including at least two on the important city of Bandar Abbas, but other strikes took place in Qeshm, at Sirik, even in Bushehr, which is where the civilian nuclear reactor is. And these strikes by CENTCOM were not completely wild. They were intended to send a very important message to the Iranian leadership, which was that if you attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz, it will not be without consequence. These attacks were intended to be heavy, they're intended to be hurtful, but they're not a return to all-out bombing of the Iranian homeland. They were very specifically designed to hit missile sites, ships, launching sites, and radar installations. That's what they seem to have done. However, the Iranians then responded with their own retaliation, which is the third stage of the process, by attacking American bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. And so they went for the Ali Al Salam air base in Kuwait, very important air base, and even more importantly, Al Jafir in Bahrain, which is the headquarters of the US Fifth Fleet. So that's where we are for now. What has been the effect of all of that on the Strait of Hormuz? Well, here is some of the tracking data of ships, and you can see there a few ships are on their way, but interestingly the ships that are moving are mainly moving on the Iranian side of the operation. They're doing what the Iranians want them to do and go north towards Larak Island, and nothing is going up and down over the Musandam Peninsula, which is the Omani route, which the Americans want everyone to take. It's very interesting. Let's have another look at that. Keep your eye open for the Leila Vadina, which is one ship which was on its way out on the American route. There it is, there's a Leila Vadina, gets up to the point there, turns around, comes back, turns its transponders off, just disappears from the radar. And you can see here that all the ships going in and out.
Oh, I forgot to mention that I finally got in touch with that friend of mine that lives in Kuwait. Oh, that's good, Jujus. That's great to hear. Thankfully, she and her family are okay. That's incredible. Oh, I'm just so hyped, guys. I'm so hyped. This is so much fucking, this is taking everything from the Epstein Files investigation and turning it into something that we can scale up, okay? So just get hyped. I'm tired. I can't hype it up today. I'm just I'm hyped, but I'm kind of not feeling like going all in on the hype at the moment, just because I'm tired. But get hype. Get fucking hype. We're going to investigate the shit out of so many different things.
None of them were using the American route. Normally, on an average day, there's about 130 ships coming and going through the Strait of Hormuz. In the last few days, not normal, about 50, other days 40, other days 41 ships have come and gone. In the last 12 hours, it looks like 20 ships have come and gone. And you can see that all of those who are coming in and out are doing what the Iranians want, not what the Americans want. So this material shows us, at the moment, the Iranians are more in control of the Strait of Hormuz than the Americans are.
Yeah, of course. Bro, it's day 130. Of course, Iran is more in control. We know this.
Reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
We know this, bro.
And that matters in terms of what happens next, because all of this is about the legitimate route. Again, the Iranians say that everybody should use the northern route, somewhere around Larak Island, and go out that way. The Americans say this is the route that's safe, we patrol it, we keep everybody safe on this route, but obviously not safe enough, and this is the route around the Musandam Peninsula. At base, this is an argument about which is the legitimate route, but of course politically, it's all about whether the Iranians have got a right to control the waterway that they never controlled before, that they have no legal right to control. And that plays out in the politics of the whole operation, which is why President Trump seems to have said that the ceasefire is over. If both sides are expecting the other side to cheat, if both sides are waiting for the other side to cheat, then the most minor incidents get blown out of proportion, they get overinterpreted. And when that happens, there is a tendency for both sides then to act preemptively. I think
So
that's
there
where
we
we
are.
are now.
So I just want to cheat far out. Yeah. I want to make sure everyone understands what he just said there. He was trying to make it out like Iran and America are equals in this
So there
war.
we are.
Okay? They do not highlight the awful asymmetry in this war. America being the superpower, abusive superpower, Iran being the one protecting itself or defending itself from this abusive superpower with Western backing, right? That's the one thing that reporters like this will never, ever tell you. They'll make it seem like it's an equal battle. But ultimately, it's an extraordinary situation where a country like Iran has put America in such a crazy situation that even if they use violence, they can't solve the problem. And they'll never, ever point it out that way. But they are, you can see the cope, though, in his fucking face. You can see the cope in his face. That's enough for me. Watching Michael Clark slowly decompose on live TV is everything to me.
Iran says the latest wave of US strikes have targeted piers, railway bridges and other facilities in the south. The attacks were the largest since the two signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at ending the war last month. Tehran says US strikes have killed at least 14 people in the last 2 days. Iran says it's responded by targeting US military facilities in Kuwait, Bahrain and Qatar, activating air defences and alarms. Tehran's also lodged formal complaints with the UN Secretary-General, accusing Washington of attacks against its sovereignty. It says they're a breach of the ceasefire agreement with the US and a violation of the UN Charter. President Donald Trump says the latest strikes are retaliation for attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and he's warned worse could be yet to come.
Hey, Sylvie!
Speaking earlier to reporters on Air Force One, US President Donald Trump said returning to a full-scale war with Iran is on the table. But Tehran, he says, wants to make a deal.
We just hit them very hard. And I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. They did a little something today.
If they hit us 5, we're going to hit them 20. If they hit us 4, we're going to hit them 20. If they hit us 19, we're going to hit them 20.
But it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
I see, Sylvie, yeah.
Full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I
Yo,
don't know.
Prof.
We'll win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win. But we've already won militarily. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
Most of the targets are
I don't know if they're worthy of making the deal. Fuck.
located in southern Iran, especially along the Strait of Hormuz. State media's reported explosions in major port cities, including Bandar Abbas, Sirak and Jask. Explosions have also been heard on Abu Musa Island, near the entrance to the strait. In the city of Iran Shah, airport facilities were targeted. Tehran's chief negotiator, Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf, has posted to social media after the latest retaliatory strikes by Iran. He says America still hasn't learned that bullying and breaking promises are no longer cost-free. Let me put it plainly, he said. If you strike, you'll get hit. Don't flail around pointlessly or you'll sink even deeper. The Strait of Hormuz will only open with Iranian arrangements, not American threats. We have our correspondent standing by for us on both sides of the Gulf. Axel Zaimovich is here in Doha. But let's begin in the Iranian capital with Ressel Sirda. Ressel, Iran was subjected to
Excalibur. I don't know if they are worthy of making a deal. They haven't paid me, so I'm not happy. When he talks, it sounds like a random string of words put together. Yeah, always. It's the same with Palestine and Lebanon. Yeah, this is the policy, guys. Like, we're seeing why Palestine and Lebanon aren't ending. It's not just, oh, Netanyahu is this crazy guy who isn't stopping it. No, it's America, man. It's America. This is how America does shit. This is how America negotiates. I.e., they'll try and get a concession and they'll just keep using violence. This is not just Israel continuing to bomb Lebanon or Israel continuing to keep Gaza in a genocide. It's not just Israel. It's America. It's America that deals with the situation this way. Hey, Robin, welcome.
To heavy assault from the US. Can you give us a sense of the scale of the attack?
Well, this was the largest U.S. attacks on Iran since ceasefire was agreed in April, and definitely since the Memorandum of Understanding was signed. So we see in several locations, indeed. So Qashm and Abu Musa Islands in the Persian Gulf, in the Strait of Hormuz, and also Ahwaz, Konarak, Bushehr, Bandar Abbas, Chabahar, Jask, and Iran Shah. And we see particularly in Chabahar that the energy facilities were targeted. So 3 power facilities, and also there have been, as a result of these attacks, an electricity outage took place. So now the authorities are saying that largely they are restored. But there is a new element here. So far we have seen the patterns of the U.S. attacks were mostly focusing on the cities and islands in or around the Strait of Hormuz or the Persian Gulf. But now we're seeing that they have hit the city of Akkala, which is...
You've been undercover in MAGA spaces? It's rough over there? Holy shit. I just learned of the American compound they have planned in Lebanon.
A northeastern city of Iran. And that is quite important because when the American blockade was imposed over the Strait of Hormuz, Iranians were trying to explore alternative routes for the trade. And the roads going through Akkala were quite essential for Iran, connecting the country to Turkmenistan, to the other countries around in the north of the country. And then Americans have hit a railway over there. And as a result, so now the train lane between Tehran and Mashhad is temporarily suspended. Authorities are saying the technical teams are working to reopen it, but as of now, that railway is out of service.
Okay, so an indication there that these were quite strategic attacks. What has been then the response from Iran?
Well, Iranians are saying that in response, so they have attacked the American military facilities in Kuwait and Bahrain. So Arif Jan and Ali Al-Salim in Kuwait, Jufair and Sheikh Isa in Bahrain. So they are giving some of the details here, but also now we know that there have been attacks on Qatar as well. So these attacks that were conducted in response to the American attacks by the IRGC, saying that they have targeted the Patriot missile systems in Kuwait, a satellite antenna in Qatar, and fuel depots of the U.S. military in Bahrain. And they're saying that the IRGC have used various types of destructive drones, and also they're warning if the American attacks continue in the coming days, IRGC is going to expand its attacks on the other military facilities of the United States across the region. So here, there's a dangerous deadlock. Iranians are saying that they are not going to give up on the Strait of Hormuz. They believe that the 5th article of the Memorandum of Understanding gives right to Iran to have full control over the Strait of Hormuz, while Americans are saying that they are not going to accept Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz. For both sides, it's quite an essential position. And so that's why now it's extremely difficult for mediators really to force them to the negotiating table for a solution.
Reza Soda joining us from Tehran. Thank you very much. Let's bring in Axel Zaimovic now, who joins us from Doha. Axel, a number of Gulf countries sending out alerts overnight. What's been reported of those incoming threats?
Well, that's correct. It was an intense night across the Gulf overnight. For example, here in Qatar, just before 4 in the morning, a resident received a text message on their mobile phones, and that message instructed people to stay indoors, to stay away from windows because of imminent threat. And also, this, when it comes about these attacks, we're also hearing from Qatar's officials here, they're saying that there's been imminent threat right after those text messages were sent, because indicating that those attacks didn't cause any damage to the civilian infrastructure on the ground here. We also hear that in Bahrain and also in Kuwait, Interior Ministry instructed people to stay indoors, to stay away from windows, but also we don't get any official confirmations if any of those sites that Rasul was earlier mentioning were impacted by those attacks hit in the Iranian attacks.
Axel Zaimovic joining us from Doha. Thank you.
Yeah, the MOU being on life support, this was always going to be the case, because I think one thing that America hasn't really sorted out is acknowledging that they've lost. And unless and until they acknowledge that they've lost, it's going to be like this. It's going to keep flaring up, because America does not want to go away, right? America does not want to show weakness at all in this situation. So if you guys honestly think that Israel is doing these things in Lebanon, in Gaza, etc., without America being well and truly part of the planning, then you misread the situation. How America is going to continue to behave in the Strait of Hormuz is continue to use bombs, because that is all America knows. From a negotiating perspective, it's about, for America, it's, hey, you don't want to negotiate, you don't want to negotiate on our terms, fine, we'll just use violence. This is what America is about. And the thing that Israel gives for America is a way to dish out that violence with minimum effort, right? They don't have to take all of their assets to the Middle East every single time, because they have a base there. They have Israel where they can launch attacks from. So what Israel is doing is very much what America wants Israel to do. So never ever buy into the fact that Israel is being this rogue state that's doing things that America doesn't want it to do. Bullshit, bro. Like, America and Israel are tied together very tightly. Israel is doing exactly what America wants it to do.
Right, let's bring in Alex Alferez-Shears. He's a military and defence analyst joining us from London. Alex, thanks for your time. How far backwards do you think we've gone?
Well, I think we're now in an extremely dangerous situation. Now, the MOU may not be dead, so to speak, but it certainly is on life support. And what it will take to get out of this crisis instability situation now with 4 rounds of escalation is going to be restraint. It's going to be restraint.
US and Britain are the twin heads of the beast. Israel is the hand of the beast. Yeah. I would much rather put it as Israel and the U.S. Are the two two balls of the same sack. Kia ora, 8-bit supercomputer, welcome.
On both sides, and it doesn't look as though either side is willing to exercise that restraint, because the political issue pertaining to the status of the strait is still extremely in doubt. I think the United States find it intolerable that Iran will exercise control over the strait, and Iran finds it intolerable that an alternative.
Apologies if that was a little bit, if that was a visual that you didn't want.
Mechanism with regards to the control of the strait without them being the predominant actor in that mechanism is also equally intolerable. So I think we're in a really dangerous situation here, and the question is whether Iran now will retaliate, because if they do, then we're back in this sort of cycle of perpetual conflict again.
Yeah, so if we have intolerance on one side for the situation, and you're saying we need restraint on the other side, in a tug of war, what is the motivation, or what is going to be pulling us further towards the restraint rather than this intolerable situation that either side feels that they're in?
Well, I think for Iran, again, I think this is a deal breaker for them. I think they are probably willing to return to large-scale conflict if it means that they can continue to exercise control over the Strait of Hormuz, because it's two things. It's one, it's the big spoil of the war for them. And secondly, it's also their biggest source of leverage going forward in any negotiation, whether it's based on the MOU or based on some other framework. It is their biggest source of leverage. For the United States, it's the state of the economy, both domestically but also the global economy. But the United States is also under considerable pressure from GCC countries to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz doesn't become de facto Iranian maritime territory. So I think what we need here is for both sides to really contend with the fact that a continued escalation, another round of escalation in the near term would be in nobody's interest. But the big question here is who is willing to take more hits, who is willing to absorb more pain, and then, of course, as a result of that, who is then willing also to cave in, to concede?
Yeah, help me understand the rather complex picture, if you can, here, because the Strait of Hormuz obviously is the centrepiece, or has become the centrepiece, of negotiating an exit to this war. And yet, when we see these attacks, it is the US bombing or striking Iran. It is Iran conducting air attacks on neighbours. And yet, how does that impact the already complex situation that we see in the Strait of Hormuz? Because that is really what is the leverage in this war.
Yeah, it's incredibly detrimental, because whatever happens, you cannot change the geography of the situation. Iran is a Gulf state. The GCC countries are Gulf states. The United States has significant interests in the Gulf. So, being engaged in this sort of escalatory spiral is certainly going to have an incredibly deleterious impact on the way that Iran and its regional neighbors relate to one another, interact with one another, negotiate. Any kind of future paradigm is really contingent on the fact that you can't change that geography. So this is an incredibly, like I said, an incredibly dangerous situation. But it goes back to the initial problem with regards to the points that the United States put out initially in the beginning of April, or the first week of April, and the Iranian points being in direct tension with one another. And then, of course, that's translated into the MOU. The MOU doesn't stipulate a sequencing order. The MOU has hardly really been adhered to in any meaningful way. And I think that's the problem. The problem is that these two parties still distrust each other enormously. And then, of course, the Gulf powers also distrust Iran enormously. And as a result of that distrust, they're incapable of compromising on anything, really.
And so when we hear President Trump saying already that Iran has called and they want to make a deal, what do you think that even means at this point?
Hey, Lava.
Look, there's an element to this war that's informational. There's an informational warfare dimension to this, and essentially it's to destabilize the other side, the adversary. And Trump likes to play this game On the one hand, because he's got an eye on the market, so he likes to manipulate the markets. Certainly, that's how he sees it in his own mind, that he's a master manipulator of the markets, but also that he thinks that by issuing mixed signals that he can keep the Iranians on their toes, so to speak, and maybe sow some divide internally. Now, on the Iranian side, they've been very sort of clear that they won't tolerate threats, that it's stipulated as well in the MOU that both sides should act with a certain degree of decorum when they're signaling their demands to one another. But there's another persistent problem within the Iranian regime, and that is that we're not really quite sure what the IRGC, what commanders like Vahidi, and certainly people close to the Ayatollah, what they actually genuinely want, whether they want to move forward with negotiations or not. And we know that people like Ghalibaf, despite his post on social media today, that people like Ghalibaf and people like Arachi are quite keen for negotiations to go forward.
We're generally agreeing that any conflict is engineered beyond avoiding anything Epstein related, right? All conflicts are. I think Epstein is absolutely a part of why Trump is bombing Iran. But I also feel that it's kind of where the West is right now. The Western powers are starting to feel their influence, begin to erode away. And I think this is a moment to try and keep that influence and control of the world. I think this is a specific moment that's been chosen because they're seeing the decline accelerate, and a lot of economic indicators are saying that decline is accelerating. So I think it's Epstein, yes, but I also think there are economic drivers and there are geopolitical drivers to explain this as well.
So the United States president, just to go back to your question about how constructive are the president's tweets and how conducive are they to negotiations? Well, not very, because it's hard to predict what the president will actually say, what the president will actually do, never mind what the president actually thinks.
Alex Al-Farouche is joining us from London. Thank you very much for your time.
Hey, Jimny, welcome. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. How are you doing? We've spent a little bit of time going through our investigation platform. It is in such a great place right now. Hopefully a release next week. We internally are going to be just the admins. We're all going to be having a chat tomorrow to begin getting setting up to onboard people as well. So if you want access to the Epstein files in a way that allows you to investigate, connect the dots, etc., join our Discord community. Join. If you aren't in it, do it, because it is going to be a great ride, in my opinion, of getting these investigations done in a collaborative way. Let's keep following what's going on in Iran. Let's keep following.
They wanted out of the war, having not achieved their goals. And I think if you read the memorandum of understanding that the two sides signed, what that document really says is we both want to step back from the war because it's not achieving our goals, but we still want to achieve our goals, and we cannot agree on any of the demands that either side is making, and therefore it was an inherently very, very unstable agreement, and you had breaches of the ceasefire almost immediately, and now the US essentially has said we are going to force traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, or we're going to start hitting you again. It's not quite a return to war, but it's pretty close. And I think what you're going to see is a very unstable time that is as close to war. You know, it becomes very difficult to sort of define the difference between, war and not war.
Yeah. I think the column that you wrote just recently about this was just fascinating, that the ceasefire was kind of built to fail, that it's all really about the posturing of each side, and that, what they say may not bear much relation to reality in some senses. I wonder what your take is now on Iran in this kind of perma-crisis state that we're in. As this funeral is expected to take place of the former supreme leader, what is Iran's position in all of this, and what it's trying to show? And
air raid sirens in Bahrain. Iran is attacking Bahrain. This was about 20 minutes ago. Iran is currently attacking Bahrain.
And again, the underlying reality.
Yeah, so the Iranians are, they're ending a 6-week funeral ceremony, a 6-day, funeral ceremony for the former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei today in Mashhad, his hometown, and that's where he'll be laid to rest. They've made this into a massive show, and the idea was to demonstrate. They said they wanted 20 million people to show up, or they expected 20 million people to show up. Who knows how many actually showed up along the way, but it was a long process.
Yes.
And it was designed to show that
you can't repost my live. Yeah, they gave me a restriction before, so it might be because of that. I don't know.
this man had support. The revolution, the Islamic Republic still has support. A show of defiance, if you like. At the same time, they were upset about how many ships were getting through in Hormuz without, submitting to their control. So they started hitting ships. Whether they've overplayed their hand, and they're now going to have to kind of rethink.
Oh, shit. Look at what Al Jazeera Live is talking about.
The aid workers killed were British.
Hold up. Bro, what?
Has surveillance footage of Gaza from that day, but refuses to make it public.
The families of the victims have been urging the Ministry of Defence
I agree, Mama
to
Connor.
release that spy footage so they can basically see whether it tracked the movements of the WCK.
We are listening to Al Jazeera Live at the moment. This is what has happened in Gaza. So I thought we'd listen to this. This is going on right now.
There's a lawyer who has represented the family of James Henderson, one of those killed.
The British government have shown almost a hostility towards those families.
He says the government has refused to engage with the Hendersons.
For example, I specifically wrote to the Prime Minister and asked that the family are given an audience with either the Prime Minister or the Foreign Secretary or the Secretary of State for Defence. That took many, many months to come back, and they were told no. Eventually, after much haranguing, they said yes. They said, we'd like to be legally represented, can our lawyers come? There's an explicit no.
Israel carried out an internal investigation, concluding the airstrike was the result of a grave mistake.
Why on earth would anybody go to the lengths which the British government have gone to hide something which on their version of events may not even exist? It is the easiest thing in the world to say, we will open our books to you, have a look, we've nothing to hide. But they've closed their books and said, effectively, there's nothing to see here.
Intelligence isn't the only valuable commodity flowing from RAF Akrotiri to Israel. Military hardware has allegedly been shipped from the same base.
This is a picture early on of a military transport flight that went to Israel from Akrotiri. This is a RAF one. These are huge military transport vehicles, they're A400Ms and C-17s. They can carry tanks, helicopters, all sorts of weaponry and personnel. The US military were also flying regularly from Akrotiri to Tel Aviv. We knew from other reporting that these were carrying weapons, huge amounts of weapons.
Both the US and the UK have long approved the sale of weapons, ammunition, and other military equipment to Israel.
Yep, this is it. This is you can't just say this is about Israel. You can't just say this is Israel acting out or whatever, because these countries are making themselves look terrible by not even engaging on these questions. I mean, I have a feeling that the UK tracked those World Central Kitchen workers. I think there's so much to dig into this as this information starts to come out over the next, decade or two, because it's going to take that long for all of this to come out. But I think we're going to find that the UK has been involved very closely with America and Israel in committing these war crimes.
So we're talking about fighter jets, including the F-35 and F-16. Components for those were sold to Israel, but also targeting equipment, radars, reconnaissance components, and all sorts was being sold.
My name is Mark Smith. I was formerly the lead official on the UK Arms Export Licensing Report.
Every year, a report is compiled and presented to Parliament after a review of the licenses issued by the government.
I wanted to speak today because what I witnessed while working on that report was profoundly concerning.
Mark Smith quit his job in 2024 after looking in depth at what Israel was doing with hardware supplied by the UK. He spoke to the tribunal via audio link without showing his face.
I had grave concerns when Israel was conducting aerial campaigns in Gaza.
Holy shit. Look at this. Look at this.
Una carta.
Venezuelan acting President Delcy Rodriguez said she had sent a letter to the King of England asking for Venezuelan gold held at the Bank of England to be released to support recovery efforts after twin quakes struck the country in June. Do it. Do it. Put this pressure. Get your gold back. Get your money back. Venezuela needs it. Venezuela needs that gold. Come on, man. They've looted these countries and they've left these countries to be underdeveloped and susceptible to these sorts of earthquakes.
I couldn't understand how the team were justifying that, because to even an outside perspective, it was very clear that Israel was in breach of international humanitarian law and even committing war crimes.
He says he felt pressure to alter the report in favor of Israel.
Those sections that I'd written, which talked about civilian casualties, for example, I was asked to kind of play them down, make them smaller.
Jeez, man.
I became so uncomfortable with the situation that I had to step down and say, look, I can't do this anymore.
A month after Smith resigned, the Labour government acknowledged its equipment could be being used to breach international humanitarian law.
We have footage of what happened. We decided to bury it. We have many spy planes over Gaza gathering intelligence. Yeah. Oh, 100%. The spy planes are absolutely, they knew. I think this is going to be a massive scandal. Honestly, all of this.
From a long,
like, if this should put like these Western leaders in jail.
Long period of time, the British have been compromising pretty badly on what they've done and what they haven't done, where international humanitarian law, as applied in other countries, is concerned.
Jeffrey Nice has prosecuted some of the world's most high-profile international criminal cases.
What would be the consequences of our country sending military equipment to country X that it is clear is committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide against country Y? Then, if it's shown that our country is doing that knowingly and knowing what's happening, then it becomes itself complicit, and that would expose it, in certain circumstances, to a process at the instigation of some other third country in the International Court of Justice, which deals with international relations between countries. And that, of course, has been what's been happening in the South Africa Israel case at the International Court of Justice.
In September 2024, the government placed restrictions on some arms exports to Israel, but rejected calls for a total ban.
But these arms restrictions...
The only significant thing since the MOU being signed was they sent Vance out for the last 2 weeks to do media tours again, and he's failed to look any type of stately in any of yeah. Oh man, it just keeps continuing, eh?
We contend were largely a smokescreen for business as usual.
And in fact, from September 2024, the month that they announced those, to February 2025, they sent over 8,000 quote-unquote munitions of war to Israel, including all the most serious munitions you can think of. And we only found this out through Israeli customs data.
Evie Snedker is one of 13 British citizens and more than 400 others who were detained by Israel when it intercepted the global Sumud flotilla in October. People from 44 countries on more than 40 boats attempted to deliver aid to Gaza by sea.
So the bright light that you're seeing is the light that they're flashing at us, sort of when my face illuminates. We are, probably moments away.
Thank you, Mama
Probably moments
Kona.
away from being intercepted. This will probably be the last video I make.
I wasn't expecting assistance from the British government. They'd been very clear throughout the journey. No support vessels were sent.
Evie worked for the Ministry of Defense as a research scientist, assigned to a division of the Air Force that develops and tests new military tech.
I was sort of embedded into an RAF unit, so I was quite aware of what was going on, and I didn't agree with it in any way.
What was it? Was there anything specific that you saw, or was it just generally coverage?
Don't want to answer that on camera, if that's all right. Sorry.
Disillusioned, she resigned and joined the flotilla.
And I've grown up sailing my entire life, so I had that background that I could be useful. So when I saw an advert for we need sailors, we need people to help, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So on Adara, we had 2 Brits originally, and then we finished with 3. So myself, Sid from Scotland, and then we had Kieran, also from the UK, who's half British, half Palestinian.
What we were trying to achieve on the global flotilla to Gaza was not rocket science.
Kieran Andreou is a political economist and a vocal advocate for Palestinians.
My dad is Palestinian, still lives there in occupied Palestine. The experience was long and arduous. What carried us forward throughout it all and kept everybody on those boats was a love for Palestine, a love for Gaza, a determination to see through the commitment that we felt we'd made to the people of Gaza.
Hey, Mezzy.
As the flotilla set
Hey,
sail,
old Al
the
Hooten.
Prime Minister avoided questions about whether the government would provide any protection for its citizens taking part.
Can the Prime Minister say what steps are being taken to protect the British citizens on this flotilla?
Prime Minister. Well, we are working with other countries to get aid in by any practical means, but land routes are the only viable and sustainable means of getting aid into Gaza at the scale that is required.
Fuck. Just the way these guys held themselves through all of this, you just know they've committed some horrible. These are not just crimes against humanity. These are also, it's planned. It didn't happen by mistake, you know. These guys knew what was happening, and they just kept it happening because it was advantageous to them.
The Israeli military intercepted the boat Evie and Kieran were traveling on in international waters near Gaza and took them into custody.
They took everything. I carry EpiPens for an unknown allergy.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
I had it in a little bag. And they said, oh, please, can I keep that? It's an unknown allergy. And they said, no.
Lava, I got a book from... So we went to Waitangi just on the weekend. I don't know if you knew, I spoke about it yesterday. But we went to Waitangi and I got a book, like the Ngāpuhi perspective. The Ngāpuhi perspective on the Te Tiriti o Waitangi and everything that happened. I'm pretty interested in getting into that. I got like a couple of books from there. Really cool.
I said, please, like I could die. It is unknown. And they said, oh, we don't care. And that's sort of the attitude that they had. It was just very, you are nothing to us.
They drove the boat to the port of Ashdod. They enclosed us in small rooms. They guarded us with their machine guns. And once we got to Ashdod, that's when the violence really began.
And they were aggressive there. To body search you, they'd kick your legs apart. Again, you like had bruises. They cut the soles off my shoes. They cut the laces apart. They took the insoles out. They cut my necklace off my neck. They cut my hairband out my hair, everything. And then they blindfolded you and put you onto the prison bus. We expected poor treatment, but you know, we are white Westerners. And so if you're getting treated like this, imagine how Palestinians are treated.
I see.
We were taken to a prison in the Negev desert. It's called Ketziot Prison, and it was specifically for the purpose of torturing and incarcerating Palestinian political prisoners. And actually, I realised while I was there, the epiphany took a while to come because I was so dehydrated and exhausted and so on. But I realised that actually it's the same prison that my own brother had been tortured at or in several years earlier. My own brother was first rounded up and arrested by Israel when he was 12 years old.
After 3 days, they were released and returned to the UK together. When questioned, a spokesman for the Prime Minister said the legality of arresting foreign nationals in international waters was a matter for the Israeli government.
I didn't think that it was lawful to, or it was a matter for Israel to decide whether they should do that. And I felt that the Prime Minister might have shown a little bit more bottle in answering that question.
So if you can say that Israel violated international law?
I would have thought so, yes. Yes.
I remember reading my passport on the flotilla, and it says, you know, we pledge as the British government to protect our citizens at all costs, anywhere, and completely not, clearly not applicable in his world.
Well, as a British Palestinian, the role that the British government has played in the genocide in Gaza is beyond words in terms of its shamefulness.
The Genocide Convention of 1948 has the contracting parties undertaking to act anywhere in the world on sight or sound established to them of genocide to stop it. And the International Court of Justice has said that means to stop it immediately, not tomorrow, not the day after, right now. The argument as to whether genocide has been committed by Israel, I'm not prepared to answer that question. And I still believe that it's the duty of government to decide whether the evidence is sufficient for genocide or not. Common sense says that with a body like the United Nations saying one thing and the government being silent, the government is failing in a very clear duty to its citizens to say, we agree, or we don't agree.
The Gaza tribunal ended after 2 days of testimony.
We will now have to examine the evidence
that's
put
awesome,
before us and write a
good to know.
report that will be presented to the UK government and Parliament. The efforts to cover up UK involvement will no doubt continue. But despite all these efforts, I'm confident that the truth will be revealed and justice will ultimately prevail.
As Omar al-Akkad says, one day, when this is all over, when there is no price to pay, everyone would have been against this. And I look at that day with horror. After all our hands have been stained with blood.
The Gaza Tribunal released its final report on March 16th. It says the UK has failed in its fundamental obligation to prevent genocide and has been complicit in atrocity crimes. Saudi, UAE, Britain, and USA work for Israel agenda to get their assignment to be complete. Nini, do you think... are you one of these people who's like, Israel controls these countries? Is that what you think? We put the allegations contained in this program in detail to the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office and the Ministry of Defence. Neither department acknowledged our request. The Foreign Office declined our offer of an interview. The people who think that Israel controls these countries are not understanding what's happening. Because these countries don't need to be controlled. These countries don't need to be controlled in order to commit violence. They've been doing it well before Israel existed. Okay? So stop. These countries have been committing violence for a very long time. So please, like, the Zionists don't need to fucking control anyone. What's 1,000 years, Anna? What's 1,000 years? Let me guess. You're going to say something about Jews. Do it.
The latest news.
People here are basically balancing two things. On the one hand, the importance of peace.
What's 1,000 years then, Anna? What's 1,000 years? The Zionist has no control. They literally interns for a bigger leader. Who is that, Nene? Who do you think that bigger leader is? Is this tribunal a government tribunal or an organized private event? It's an organized side group. It's an organized side group.
Or whether, you know, they will simply be able to keep hitting back in a tit for tat with the US until the US decides again that they're more focused on.
Well, Nini, I'll tell you, it's not particularly a hard problem to solve, because what you're saying, that bigger group has always been there. And that bigger group for the last 600 years has been committing crimes against humanity on the global south. This is what European colonization is. It hasn't changed. Capitalism itself is designed to oppress the global south. Like, we don't need to go looking for the answer It's not a family tree or a clan. It's the operating system. It's the operating system. No, that Zahir guy is an anti-Semite. I'm not going to unblock him. I'm sorry. Anna, I'm not sure why you come here, Anna, to be like, this is bad faith. Like, what do you want? Why do you come here and you ask me to unblock people who are clearly being bigoted? What do you want?
Good afternoon. It's great to see you. Thanks for your patience.
NATO Secretary General press conference at the NATO summit in Ankara. Listen to Mark Rutte. I don't see how this is a joke, Anna. Like, this is a serious question. I'm trying to like answer this question, and you keep asking me to unblock that bigoted dude. It's insane. I'm not going to unblock him. He was clearly a bigot.
We will start with a statement from the Secretary General and follow with your questions.
Good afternoon. We have just concluded a tremendously successful NATO summit here in Ankara. There was a great sense of unity. Allies warmly welcomed President Trump's leadership that is transforming this alliance and making it stronger. The message from this summit is simple. NATO delivers. 1 year ago in The Hague, allies took historic decisions to strengthen our alliance. Here in Ankara, excellently hosted by President Erdogan, we have demonstrated that those commitments are now being put into practice. Across the alliance, defense investment continues to rise. New capabilities are being delivered. Industry is expanding production. And European allies and Canada are assuming greater responsibility for our shared security. Together,
okay. Even the news is controlled? Yeah, that's when you think about how European colonization has worked for 600 years, one of its most potent weapons has been the media. Controlling the media has been a very, very important thing to maintain Western hegemony and white supremacy. It is one of the most important things. In some cases, that's how it's seen. Even here in New Zealand, in Aotearoa, in the 1800s, when settlers were stealing Maori land, when British settlers were stealing Maori land, the British controlled all of the newspapers. They were putting out so much propaganda. Hey, Libra Rooster, welcome. They were putting out so much propaganda to Maori tribes, to the settlers themselves. Like, they had newspaper printing operations across Aotearoa, printing out propaganda to all the tribes. The media is often a potent weapon of any colonial power, of any imperialistic power, of any empire. Propaganda is so important to the empire. Never forget that. Propaganda is a key weapon. That's why the news, what you're saying, the feeling is it's controlled, because it is by the empire, by the West. The West controls mainstream media. And the reason why it controls it is because
Incoming raid detected.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Raiders.
These are the
Welcome. Hope you stick around and hit that follow button.
Massive raid. Massive raid. Hey, Caro Kick. Welcome. Caro. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the huge raid. Holy shit. You raided with 141 people. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Welcome in, everybody.
New follower detected.
Ferocia, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Nene. Nene is lit. Welcome.
New follower detected.
Nero Circuit, welcome. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in, folks. Welcome in. Welcome, Caro Kick. I have to raid and run because I have work and I'm up way past my bedtime. Take care, Caro. Take care. Take care, take care. Frank the Beachcomber. Hello. Welcome.
New follower
Brewman from the 5th floor. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Wow, it's awesome to have all of you. It's bedtime for me, but have a great stream. Oh, thank you, Nene. Thank you so much. Rest well, guys. Rest well. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for showing love. Thank you. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, of course. Go ahead. Go ahead, Caro. Go ahead. Absolutely. Do what you have to. I have a leftist book club I do on Thursdays with Maple Takes if anyone wants to join. Nice. That's all okay, thanks. Bye. Nice. That's pretty cool. What? How can they join? Like, is this on Twitch? Do they find this the book club on Twitch? Do you guys stream? Or is it on a different platform? Yes, on Twitch we read live to the chat. Oh, nice. Okay. Thursdays with Maple Takes and Caro Kick book club. Get in. So is audiobook with discussion at the same time. That's awesome. Good on you. That sounds very cool. That's awesome, Caro. I hope you get some rest. And I'll catch you soon. Thank you so much for the raid, by the way. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. And we are going through a NATO summit. We're talking about a whole bunch of different topics around how the global order works. Just geopolitics today. Take care, Caro. Take care. Host, how can we end capitalism? That's a great question. The way I see it, guys, decolonization is a pathway to ending capitalism. It's so funny. Yesterday we were listening to Benjamin Netanyahu speak, and he was talking about how social media has made people hate Israel and America. I guess it's like his line was something like, the more people have access to social media, the more they hate Israel and the United States. Let me just say this, okay? What he's actually saying is, the more access to information and education that people have, the more they end up hating the systems that Israel and Netanyahu, Israel and America represent. And that means education makes people see, access to information makes people see that these powers are at the core of what capitalism is, right? So ultimately, the way to end capitalism, one, is about education.
New follower detected.
Vengalanch, thank you so much for the follow. One is education, real education about how the world has come to become the way it is. Number one. And number two is when we start mentally decolonizing ourselves and then putting that decolonization into physical action, that is, working towards building a more equitable world for all, capitalism will become, will start to be impacted. Because one thing about capitalism is the core thing that capitalism measures is growth, right? And we can't just keep growing. We can't just keep growing infinitely. So at some stage, we're going to have to change from measuring growth to measuring something more like equitable outcomes. And when you start seeing people talking about and understanding what growth truly means, then you will start seeing capitalism begin to lose its power. It starts with education. It starts with educating people about how we got to the situation we're in today, and then actively decolonizing ourselves and decolonizing others' minds through education. And it's got to be genuine. It's not about just indoctrinating people to achieve some personal vendetta. It's got to be about something bigger, like an equitable world for all. Do you truly uphold free speech on this platform or not? Well, if you're going to be a bigot, then absolutely not. I'll fucking ban you. Don't be a bigot and engage in good faith.
Foundations for a stronger, a fairer, and a more capable NATO. Allies reviewed the significant progress already made towards investing 5% of GDP in defense by 2035. Already measuring 4% just 1 year into a 10-year project. So the momentum is clear. Allies continue to increase both core defense spending and broader investment that strengthen our security. They are generating the capabilities our defense plans require and stepping up their contribution to NATO's collective deterrence and defense. This is not simply about spending more, it is about ensuring that our armed forces have what...
I think Mark Rutte is the most shameless politician in the world right now. Mark Rutte is the most shameless fucking politician. I want to show you a video about this guy. This question that was asked and the way he responded is insane. Listen to this.
Rasmus Reineborg from the Danish news agency.
Yes, hi.
Danish news agency Ritzau. Mark, you sit next to Donald Trump in moments where he talks about conquering Greenland, talks about lashing out at allies like Spain, starting trade wars. Things that it doesn't seem like the old Mark Rutte would approve of. Does this have any effect on your self-respect when you sit next to him like that and say nothing?
You know, what I always do is acknowledge when praise is due, and I think we should praise Donald Trump for the fact that NATO is so much stronger. Of course, it has to do with the Russian threat, it has to do with the war in Ukraine, but it very much also has to do with President Trump delivering now what since Eisenhower the United States tried to achieve, equalizing spending between the US and Europe. And it makes Europe stronger. It makes Europe more relevant for the United States as a partner. So that is the transformative character of this summit, of what happened in The Hague, the implementation since The Hague, this summit as a point in time where we take stock. And I think that is extremely important. And when it comes to Greenland, I already explained. We had a meeting in Davos. And I said, I agree with you
exactly,
when it comes
Frank,
to Russia, when it comes to China, gaining access to the High North. But let's do this together. We have NATO for this. Let's work together on this. This is exactly what we are doing.
The question was like a direct insult. And he answered the question like exactly how you thought a shameless person would answer that question. I think a lot of people, coming back to the subject about capitalism, I think a lot of people misunderstand what capitalism is. A lot of people think capitalism is just this system that has come to be, it's a modern system that's come to be the way it is, and somehow the players that take part in it globally, it's almost like when people describe capitalism, the geopolitical nature of how it's developed into what it is today is completely sort of disconnected from the conversation. Capitalism, yeah, it's just trade, silly. Yeah, that. It's just markets. But people often don't include the bit where European colonization created our modern capitalist framework on the exploitation of labor, right? So that exploitation of labor looks like the transatlantic slave trade, indentured labor, just genocide, theft, and centralization of the wealth that then came through all of that evil doing. And that is what capitalism ultimately is, modern capitalism. That's why the IMF, when it says when it splits the world into advanced countries and developing countries, the advanced countries are all Western nations and Western allies. Right? So capitalism is fundamentally a white supremacist European colonization, born and bred through European colonization, which was ultimately the foundations of which were on white supremacy and Christian patriarchy. So it's a 600-year-old project to bring us to what capitalism is today. Capitalism today is European colonization rebranded. Right? There is a straight line from the voyages, the Portuguese voyages, to today. And why the world is structured in the way it is. So when people talk about capitalism and abolishing capitalism, they don't realize that we're actually talking about abolishing a white supremacist model of the world. Right? That has been there for 600 years. Abolishing capitalism isn't just, blowing up the stock market. Right? It isn't just that. It is decolonizing the world. That's what getting rid of capitalism is. It's decolonization. And Western powers will not let that happen without violence.
Incoming raid detected. Thank you, Raiders. Welcome. Hope you stick around and hit that follow button.
Oh my gosh. Redolent Thought. Massive. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, everybody. Holy crap. Huge raid. Redolent, thank you so much. Welcome in, folks. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. Goddamn Melon Kuma, welcome. Double Crash, giving up on OBS tonight. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry to hear that, Redolent. Hopefully you had a good live stream anyway. But thank you so much, Redolent. I appreciate your support. Thank you. White, how is that? Like, what do you mean? Do you want to ask that question in a clearer way? We had some technological differences.
I want to be a good boy.
Oh my gosh. We are talking about some subjects like
reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
We were also, before, we were talking about other subjects like...
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Oh, Redolent. We are well and truly heading back into the Epstein files. We are we've built a community investigation platform as well. I'll we're going to be launching it next week, so it's going to be quite cool. Just keep that in the back of your mind. There's something coming next week with this community. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. We are going to get back into it for sure. Raymond, if you want to ask that question again, let me know. Because that isn't particularly clear how you've asked it. We are now listening to, and it's me saying love you, boo. I don't need to hear it back. Love you too, Redolent. Love you too. Okay, we are talking about geopolitics, capitalism today, and NATO. We are talking about the most shameless politician on the planet, Mark Rutte. We call Mark Rutte the American psycho because we imagine that, you know, like the American psycho, he stares at himself in the mirror in the mornings while doing sit-ups. He just seems that kind of narcissistic psychopath who has zero shame. And we're listening to him now. So strap yourself in. He is Dutch, yeah.
They need to keep our 1 billion people safe in a more dangerous world. Our focus has now shifted decisively from setting targets to delivering results.
The man who calls
that
Trump
means
daddy. Yeah.
accelerating production, breaking down barriers, boosting resilience, investing in innovation, and working with partners to maximize cooperation. The NATO summit.
Rutte thinks American Psycho is a superhero movie. Oh, yes. I feel like these are the characteristics of every mainstream neolib. You have to enjoy portfolios more than people. That's so true as well. You're not wrong. They're shameless, aren't they? They do not give a shit about human life. They just don't. I've never heard such an unfortunate, endless kiss ass. Good Christ. Yeah. Oh, man. This guy is... this guy's got his lips well and truly on daddy's anus. Daddy being Donald Trump.
Defense Industry Forum demonstrated the determination of governments and industry to work together with greater speed and ambition. And the numbers are staggering, including over $50 billion in new procurement
Nepanel baby. Oh my gosh.
Deals in just one day. We also launched a new major initiative, NATO's Drone Edge, which will see $40 billion invested by allies in uncrewed systems over the next 5 years. And big deals with US and European industry, including Triton from Northrop Grumman and our new AWACS from Saab. These new investments and industrial commitments announced here will help strengthen our collective defense while supporting innovation, economic growth, and, of course, skilled jobs across the whole of the alliance. This work must continue, and that's why I'm happy to announce that allies are taking a historic step to enhance NATO's fuel supply chain.
Just think about how much peacocking happens from the West, right? Like, it's so incessant. It's constant. NATO press conference, or Donald Trump press conference, or a press conference by Israel, a press conference by this Western nation. It's constant, right? And the media is constantly like pushing it. Mainstream media is constantly like platforming Western leaders talking about, you know, blowing up black and brown people in the global South. Always. It's just a constant fucking thing. And that should show you how much power the West has to keep attention while the rest of the world, is kind of like shoved to the side a little bit. It shows you how much of your mind space the West is constantly taking, with whether it's in pop culture, whether it's news, whether it's geopolitics, whatever it may be. It's the highest percentage of what's going on in media by far, and the Global South gets very little voice in that.
To ensure our forces have the energy supplies they need for war-fighting readiness. While allies continue to finalize the details, we know that this 27 billion euro investment will modernize our existing fuel storage and distribution infrastructure and support new facilities, including pipelines towards the eastern part of the alliance. We are also ensuring that we are using technology.
Oh, really? OTAN is the acronym for its official French name? Oh, not merely NATO written backwards. I did not know that, my clothes brush.
To our advantage, including through the adoption of powerful AI models and the development of an interoperable transatlantic warfighting cloud.
Yeah, Mama
so here
Kona,
again,
totally.
Credible deterrence and defense depends on what we deliver. And we are delivering. Allies also reaffirmed NATO's unwavering support for Ukraine. As Russia continues its war, we will continue to ensure Ukraine gets what it needs. Allies pledged to provide at least 70 billion euros in military equipment, assistance and training for Ukraine this year and again next year as we continue to press for peace. As Ukraine shifts the dynamics on the battlefield, our support must continue. This summit has...
Who fucks this guy? Funny.
shown that the alliance is stronger than ever. An alliance that is united and ready to defend every inch of our territory. Here in Ankara, allies reaffirmed their ironclad commitment to the collective defense under Article 5. That an attack on one is an attack on all, and we will stand together. Our unity, solidarity, and collective strength remain the foundation of peace, security, and prosperity. Leaders also agreed on the importance of modernizing our alliance and building for the future. That means a stronger Europe in a stronger NATO. With European allies and Canada working with the United States, taking on greater responsibility for the defense of the alliance. Transformative investment in defense. Major deals for industry on both sides of the Atlantic.
I wonder sometimes, if all of this rhetoric from NATO is to just please Donald Trump. I often wonder if they just speak like this to speak to Donald Trump and then it's over kind of thing. Are they really doing anything in the background? Because he's been saying this shit for the last 2 years. What are they actually doing, compared to what they're saying? I think that discrepancy should be studied. But is it from every group? Not even Bodrum wants to sell him an oyster. Literally, that's all they need to prep for. Yeah, I think it must be something like that, right? It must be something just to please Donald Trump. They're saying all of this shit, but are they actually doing anything? Are they just playing this game of trying to impress Donald Trump, play to his ego, and then they end up doing nothing? Sudan, Iraq, Iran, Ukraine bombing the shit out of Gaza could all be used to build something better for the world. Oh, 100%. No doubt. EU trying to grow its weapon manufacturing while the EU is supposed to be a peace project. NATO is such a contradiction. Absolutely. The defense of Ukraine and eliminating the Russian strategy of attrition in war maneuvers. Something's gonna give, I feel like. There can't be this... there can't be this stalemate for too long. I just think something is about to explode on the Ukraine-Russia, front lines. And I think without more NATO commitment, i.e. boots on the ground, I don't see how NATO continues to be effective. Like, NATO, all it's doing is using Ukrainians as human shields. And I think countries and journalists need to say no up front. It's one of his tactics. Meets with someone, he says they're beautiful/strong in an awkward way. Super smart guy, charming guy, and then bullshits. Or waits till after he's back from China to say, the moment I landed in China, Xi said, wow, you're doing an incredible job and everyone loves you, etc. Xi should say, no, I don't, you fucking loser. But he's just playing the short game till Trump is out. I think Xi may be the only person saying, I don't give a fuck about you, Trump. Maybe it's just Xi, because I think Xi has a lot of leverage on America. But Europe, losing America, Europe would just be nowhere. Europe needs America a shitload more than America needs Europe. Pujol, welcome. Hello. In a world full of routers, be a Spain. Agree. Dude, I kind of hear you, but can't see it till I see it. And that's like a whole other casual universe. Guess who is the global leader of arms manufacturing and exports? US, 42%. Absolutely. Europe is opposed to BRICS, right? Yeah. The West is opposed to BRICS. So the Western Alliance, the G7, is opposed to BRICS because it would be a direct competition to the G7. Hey, Practical Magic, welcome. Kia ora. I'm good, thank you, Practical Magic. Hey, Nadia. Welcome, everybody.
You're rebalanced.
Well, then Europe needs to go back to colonizing everywhere, Noisy. What's claimable out there, huh? Let's think tank this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we often talk about that, Europe has built its whole economy of extractionism, off of extractionism. That's what Europe has modeled its economy on, to the point where they don't actually make that much anymore. And America has gone down the same path and ended up deindustrializing. This is why Europe is seeing this moment as super important for it to gain some sort of ascendancy. Like Europe, we watched. Okay, maybe that's what we can watch. We watched a video yesterday around European economies, especially the UK, and the direction they're heading in, the economic performance of these countries, and it's starting to become dire, guys. Like these countries are on life support right now, and the growth has stopped. This is the.
Now, if Andy Burnham and his team were after a primer on the state of the UK economy, the challenges, the risks, the opportunities ahead, he could hardly do better than a couple of reports that have just landed. Really important reports. One for the Bank of England and another from the Office for Budget Responsibility about kind of the state of the public finances.
Europe needs more life support than Mitch McConnell. Oh my God, too soon, man. Oh! Oh my gosh. Oh dear.
We'll start with the OBR one first. And overshadowing this is a massive kind of trend, a change
I'm
for
in
the
a
UK
mood
economy.
today, yeah.
And that is this. We have an aging population in this country. What this is showing you, basically, is the ages of people across the UK population, kind of more or less now. So from younger through to older. And the median age at the moment is about 40. You can see, look, as you get towards kind of people being 90 or 100, there's far fewer of them for obvious reasons. But look at the lump and look at the shape here. That is the shape of the UK population right now. And now I'm going to kind of do a fast forward on to 2075, so what it'll look like in 2075. And have a look at this. You can see how it shifts over this way. And what does that mean? It means the kind of median age goes up. It goes up from about 40 to getting on to 50, about 49. And you can see there are fewer young people around and more older people around. And that has a massive bearing for the UK economy for all sorts of reasons.
Why the fuck do I have to wait till 2075 for this to happen? Like, why can't it just be happening now?
We're going to go into now. And kind of in short, basically, if there's fewer younger people around, that's fewer people paying tax and working. More old people means you need to pay more for the welfare state and pay more for pensions. And that has a massive bearing for the public finances for the UK. But by the way, talking about population, here's another way of looking at it. Okay, so this is the UK population going back to 1975. That starts at 55 million.
By the way, the the title of this video is UK Economy Squeeze, Weakest Growth Since 1776. Oh my God. Weakest growth since 1776, everybody.
Resub, a loyal, noisy crew member detective. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, 8-Bit Supercomputer. Thank you so much for the 5 months. Thank you. Hey, I know that year. Don't worry, the youth. That extreme heat will separate that old chap.
And you can see how it's kind of gone up and up and up. And where we're heading in the future.
Hey, Healthy Pop.
So that's
Kia ora,
the official
welcome.
projection. And look, you can see it, can't you?
Growth
you can
from
see
taxing
there's a
the
point
tea,
here,
yeah.
about 2055, give or take a few years, where we have kind of peak population, and then it starts to kind of go down. And it's worth just saying, you know, if it was not for immigration, which is a big part of this.
Nobody alive has seen such small growth since Stormy Daniels. Valkarunka, you're on fire. You're on fire. Oh, I love it.
New follower detected.
Loopy Mike, hello.
Then actually the line would already be starting to fall. Okay, so without migration, without net migration,
Hey, Pug Mum.
that would already be going down. And so we're at this kind of turning point. In fact, we're kind of pretty much at it right now, where in terms of the natural population without migration, that's about to come down. But even when you include migration, it looks like it's going to peak in a few decades' time. And that's quite a lot of migration.
Hey,
and
Steve.
as I say, that has a bearing on everything else. And why does
So, is what you're saying migrants are important to the growth in the UK? Oh, shit. Really?
it do that? It's because this is showing you the public finances. So that the red line there is how much.
This is another situation where fascists in Europe and America just keep punching themselves in the nuts. You know, everything they do is basically just punching themselves in the nuts. You don't want black and brown people immigrating to your country? Punch yourself in the nuts. Because if they don't migrate to your country, you're fucked. You want to bomb Iran? Well, petrol prices go up. Punch yourself in the nuts again.
How much we spend as a state. You can see that's COVID, obviously, enormous kind of amount of money going out there. And the black line is revenues, so that's tax revenues for the most part. And look at where things potentially might head in the future. And this is the main thing. So the OBR, the Office of Budget Responsibility, every year they look at the long-term projection for the public finances to get a sense of, what are those big forces
Fake
at
Sky
play here.
News.
And spending looks like it's going higher and higher because you've got to spend more on the welfare state, you've got to spend more on the NHS, you've got to spend more on pensions on the basis of current policy. And we'll get onto that in a second. Things like the triple lock are going to come into this. But revenues, the actual amount coming in, that barely goes up. And you can probably kind of glean the issue here. As the
No shit, Sherlock, but explain it to us, please.
years go on,
Train detected.
Oh,
we
fuck.
are chugging. Let's keep this momentum going. Let's go.
Okay, that's my hype train notification. If that scared anybody, I apologize. Okay, that's the punch yourself in the nut. Wait, this isn't Sky News Australia. No. Yeah. This isn't Sky News Australia. There was a kappa at the end of that. I misread your sentence there, Zach Chap.
between those two widens, and as the gap widens,
You were being
that
sarcastic.
means you have a bigger budget deficit.
How are you, Zach Chap? Holy shit. How are you? I feel like it's been a while since you've dropped by. Hope you're doing well.
Borrowing more each year, and as that accumulates, then you have more debt as a nation.
We keep trying to raid you to get you to partner. We keep raiding you to try and get you to partner. Guys, follow Zach Chap, please. Follow Zach Chap. Go watch Zach Chap's live. Get Zach Chap to partner. Zach Chap is incredible. Are you partner now, Zach Chap? Are you partner now? Like, we have to get Zach Chap to partner. We have to get Zach Chap to partner, no matter what. It has to be done. Government and media nowadays looks more like big scam company. Agree.
And that's kind of where the UK, where it looks like the UK is heading, I should say. And that debt, okay, I'll give you the kind of the historical perspective of what we're talking about here, because this is the national debt going back to 1900, okay?
I think Zach Chap is like the hardest working streamer on this platform. Like, I don't understand how Zach Chap isn't. Like, he needs to be. Absolutely. Get behind Zach Chap, everybody.
Okay, and there you can see, there's World War I, there's World War II, two big peaks there, okay, up to kind of, you're getting over a 200% of GDP, a lot of money in the scheme of things. This is where we are at the moment. You can see how it's kind of accumulated there. You've got the crisis, financial crisis there, you've got COVID there, going up and up and up. Well, here is where they thought, so the last time the OBR did one of these exercises, it was a couple of years ago, this is where they thought it was heading. I mean, it's pretty striking, isn't it? The national debt going higher and higher and higher because you're spending more, basically, and not getting more in taxes. They've just updated those numbers. So this is the thing that I think, for the Burnham campaign and for everyone else is really significant. This is where those latest numbers show that we're heading, really high. And here's what's particularly scary. If you have a sequence, as we've had in the recent years, of economic shocks, and if that affects interest rates, well, look at what happens. Actually, we have to kind of change the axis here, just so you get a sense of that. If you have a series of economic...
8-bit supercomputer. Thank you for gifting that sub to Zach Chap. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Right, and the pants will match the dark blue pants, and let's throw some dark black socks, and white soles will be your color pop. So he's getting to a really important part about growth, GDP. Okay, and all this is leading to that. Just to see how growth has completely fallen off from the West, it's shocking. It's shocking how little growth there is for the West. So here's my thing, right? Here's the someone asked before, how do we stop capitalism? The impacts of capitalism. Just like how when the colonizer starts losing at various different sporting codes, they just change the rules to make it harder for, the global South or the underdog. I think this is how capitalism will start to eat itself. When the West starts failing and, starts to shrink from an economy perspective, I think the West will look to change the rules of the game. And they'll rig the system like they always have, right? Like the West has always weaponized the financial institutions that it runs in order to make it an unfair playing field. Even with all of that, the Global South is rising. Even with the whole system rigged against the Global South is rising. And I think it'll just be a continual rigging of the system until, like, it doesn't even look like capitalism anymore.
Shocks, then you could be heading for a national debt heading on for kind of like 1,000% of GDP. I mean, it's just a projection, but it gives you a sense of the numbers that we're talking about, which would be bigger than anything, either in peace or in wartime. Look, there's World War II, World War I, and there's that. But obviously, it's just an illustration. And it's worth just saying, okay, so the numbers we're talking about here,
you don't believe
which are the kind of central figures, they do assume that the government is going to carry on paying out.
Like, this has happened in sports as well, like the West Indian cricket team. If you guys don't know the West Indian cricket team, if you don't know about cricket, there was a 15-year period where the West Indies, these are the Caribbean nations like Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, they all play cricket under the umbrella of the West Indies. And they dominated the sport for 15 years. And the amount of rule changes by the ICC, the International Cricket Committee, or whatever the fucking thing is, because of their domination, just to try and rig the system, or, you know, make it so that the advantages that the West Indies had didn't have that advantage anymore. Constantly, they just keep tweaking the rules. This is how it works. And the capitalist system is all about wealth flowing from the Global South to the West. That's how the system is built. But even with those disadvantages, the Global South has been growing. Because the Global South is just got more land, more resources, and as technology evolves, you know, when the colonizers, when they took resources, they took all the shiny things like gold, they took so many different things that they thought were valuable. But now, with technology evolving, things like rare earth minerals, things like cobalt, things like lithium, all of these things are becoming important, where the Global South is rich in those minerals. But they didn't take that. They didn't look at the dirt. But that's the thing, right? That's the thing. It's the tables are flipping slowly, not fast enough, but they are. So I see the West just kind of changing the rules to continue to make it advantageous for the West. But I think they'll bastardize the rules so much that it just won't look like capitalism anymore. The Depression helped create the conditions for a huge wave of union activism, and then you get the Red Scares. Hopefully people learn from history, right? Yeah, exactly. Third world, more like 2/3 of the world. Yeah, 100%. But whose is not? How do you mean? Camille, how do you mean?
Extra
hey, the day room
uprated in line with the triple lock, and they also assume that the point at which you have to start paying taxation, so the threshold, you know, this stuff we talk about quite a lot, that they also go up in line with earnings. If you don't do that, and this is kind of interesting, if you actually say, okay, we're going to raise those increments in line with CPI rather than everything else, in line with inflation, it's a very different story. Then the national debt goes down. Everyone ends up paying more tax. Pension contributions aren't as much. But actually, look, the national debt no longer looks so terrifying, does it? So it's worth just saying, we see these kind of apocalyptic lines every so often, and everyone gets very scared about them. There is a pathway which would be very different, but that pathway would involve potentially more fiscal drag, so there's more people being dragged into higher tax, and also potentially less generous pensions. And when it comes to pensions, okay, this is showing you where pension spending are kind of due to head in the future. So again, it's going out to 2075, and it's just an illustration. But if you have the triple law, which basically says we're going to pay you the highest of either earnings, inflation, or 2%. Look,
exactly, Red Bobskov. This reaction from the West is going to happen very soon. Everything the future needs comes from outside the West. The West has neither the industries nor the resources. Exactly. And I think the West transitioned into the services sort of economy. And now people are like, we kind of don't want your services anymore, you know? Slowly but surely it's happening. But the West is trying to maintain status quo. That's where all of these conflicts are coming from. The West is trying to maintain status quo. The way Western hegemony has been, it wants to maintain that status quo. It wants to keep the world addicted to oil and gas because the West controls those supply chains. But then countries like China are moving the world forward at pace when it comes to renewables. And the energy transition is becoming more and more of an important battleground. And I think there's going to be far more violence on this because of this energy transition we're going through right now. It's a crazy time, guys. The world is at a huge transitional moment from having Western, European colonization to American imperialism to now something that looks a little bit more multipolar. But that transition isn't going to happen quietly, I am assuming.
Look, this is where it heads. This is where it would head if you just said, okay, it's just going to be average earnings. This is where it would head if you said, no, pensions are going to go up in line with inflation, which a lot of people would say is kind of maybe fair enough. It's a totally different story, isn't it? But so controversial. So you've got that issue, which is you've got the changing nature of the UK population, the aging population. But also you have the issue that the economy's just not been growing that fast recently. And here is a really good illustration.
This is so important.
Of that, which goes back to the 1760s. I know probably like long run charts. This is showing you economic growth cumulatively in the period up to kind of 1800. Not that much economic growth. But just look, over time, you go through the Industrial Revolution, you can see growth is picking up through the Industrial Revolution. The mid-19th century growth is getting stronger as you have more mechanization. And you can see there it is kind of up into World War I, between interwar period, and then the extraordinary post-war growth. You know, the glory era for UK economic growth there. But look at where we are now. That's just recently up into the financial crisis. Look at where we are now. Just look at that. That's the growth that we've had in recent years, this era that we're in at the moment. And if you look at that era, and if we zoom out, you should compare it to the other eras here, this is the weakest era that we've had for UK economic growth going back all the way to this period. Some people talk about it being the worst since the Napoleonic Wars. It's actually worse since before the Napoleonic Wars. It's the worst since kind of US independence era, so 250 years. This is one of the issues facing the UK, and the weaker growth is, the less tax revenue there is coming in. And it's worth just saying.
So let me just show you China's energy generation by source. Just surely jesting, just going back to the point you're making. I want everybody to understand energy sources, especially China, right? China's leading the energy transition. And China has hit a very important threshold right now. I'll demonstrate it to you guys here. Well, it's been reported anyway, but China has hit a very, very important threshold this year, in fact, in the last 12 months. This is China's energy mix, right? How it generates energy. Coal is still the largest portion of what generates energy largest energy source for China. Coal, right? oil and gas, there you can see the proportions are going up but tapering off. Oil tapered off a little bit. Gas is continuing to expand. But the things that are really important, are these renewable areas. And why that's important is because of this. So this is China's coal usage. And as you can see, the trend is so, it's trending down in such a massive way. And there's one renewable energy here that's kind of trending up in a similar way, and that's solar. The reason why solar is trending upwards in China compared to the opposite with coal is because this year in China, solar costs less to generate the same amount of energy as coal. Solar for an equivalent amount of energy. Solar is now costs less. Solar energy costs less than coal in China because of the amount of investment they've put into developing that technology and the scale of their production. It costs less for China to generate energy through solar than it does through coal. So this is how China is literally changing the game as we speak. And that's a big deal because that means Western ways of generating economic growth through oil and gas are going to become less and less important because China, number one, owns the supply chain, dominates the solar supply chain, dominates the clean energy supply chain, including rare earth minerals, including so many other minerals that you need to power the green transition. Okay, so China is going through this moment and it's about to surpass what the West can do. Let me show you guys. China will lead the engineering and science for new energy tech. Yeah. But it's also not just the new energy tech. It's also the distribution of their technology. Here's another crazy thing. So this is energy consumption, right? Energy consumption. Now let's put the United States here. Let's put the United States for energy consumption. This is also a very important thing to note. Firstly, China in 2024 was generating roughly close to twice the amount of energy that the United States was generating in 2024. Okay? But here's the thing. Look at the trend in America of energy usage. It's actually, it peaked in 2007. Right? The energy usage peaked in 2007 and it's been trending downwards in terms of generation and usage in the United States. Now, you could say that it's using energy more efficiently, but it really hasn't upgraded its infrastructure. America has not upgraded its infrastructure heavily. Like its energy mix, look at this. Look at its energy mix. It's so heavily dependent on oil, gas, and coal, right? Oil and gas mainly. But here's the thing about China is look at the growth. So economic growth is often also underscored by energy generation growth. Okay, now I'm going to add India to this. And you will see similarities. Okay, you will see similarities. India's energy growth is also heading upwards. India is almost accelerating faster than China in terms of energy growth. Now I'm going to add the United Kingdom. What do you see with the United Kingdom? Okay, let's add another Asian country. Let's add, say, the Philippines. Look at these Asian countries, guys. Look at these countries in Asia. They are all on this incredible growth trajectory. All of them. Or at least this is a very, very important trend for a lot of these countries in Asia. And then you compare. Let's look at Germany, okay? This is the trend across Europe. Asia is in growth mode, whereas Europe is opposite. It's not about it using its energy more efficiently. It's the fact that there's just more opportunity for growth in the global south. This is the way the world is heading right now. And Europe is terrified of this. So Europe and the West, they're all kind of in this moment of going, what the fuck are we going to do to retain our dominance? Right? Or at least maintain the same model of the world. And when Asia is on this incredible growth, meaning they haven't been fully exploited yet, I smell opportunity. I don't feel like China has a whole complex about it. No, it's not. This headline just popped up on my timeline. Cases of illness that causes explosive diarrhea on the rise across the US. I'm sure there was a South Park episode about this, Redolent. I am sure there's been a South Park episode about this. Explosive diarrhea. EU going to learn about degrowth this decade? Yes. Do Brazil? Yeah. It's similar, guys. The global south is growing like this. It's produce related. Holy shit. But look at this trend, right? It's so clear. Another simple global animated graph here. Nice. Thank you. Thank you, my clothes brush. Yes. Cost of energy for renewables in the world. Yeah, solar power, onshore wind, hydro. Yeah, nice. This should really be compared against fossil fuels. Wash your veggies, yeah. So the thing is, we are in a transitional moment, right? We're in a transitional moment where the global south is trying like hell not to cause any sort of too much what would you say? Too much controversy at the moment. The global south is like, guys, we're kind of winning here. So let's just keep our noses clean and keep our noses clean and just keep growing. Because I think the global south understands that if the West, this is where the fragility side of it comes into play. The West has always chosen violence when it comes to times when it comes to fragile moments, the West has always chosen violence. But the insane thing right now is America is choosing a lot of violence, and America's limits have been seen now. America's limits of warfare have been seen, and that has kind of ended at the Strait of Hormuz. And that leverage is gone. That ability to bully the world has reached its limit in the Strait of Hormuz. So we've seen the limits of American power now as well. So it can't be a comfortable moment for the West. It can't be a comfortable moment. I think Western nations are starting to feel that unchallenged power now just slipping away. But I think that's what makes this an ultra dangerous time for the world. That's what I think makes it a very dangerous time for the world. I appreciate the least ego in men, but it's like impossible to keep your runny noses clean. But like, I'd be on your team. Unfortunately, you can't wash the pesticides that are grown into the fabric of vegetables. Hey.
Dada.
Yes, my love.
When is my gonna come?
Maybe 1 more hour. Can I get a kiss before you go sleep? I love you.
Love you too.
Are you tired?
No. I want you to come.
You want me to come lie down with you?
Yeah.
Give me a cuddle. I can't say no to that. So I'll just say goodbye to everybody, okay? And then I'll come. We'll just raid somebody and we'll come. Okay? Give me 5 minutes.
Okay.
10 minutes.
What are those?
Those are graphs, Baba.
Growing food?
Of energy generation. I'll come, okay? Give me 2 minutes. I can't say no to that, guys. I just can't say no to that. I will. Let's raid somebody. Let's show the love. Hey, who can we raid, guys? Who can we raid? We've got such a big audience here today. Chris, we'll do it. We'll do it. Trust me. Like, in our lifetime, we're gonna go. Zach Chap? Yes! Let's do it. Let's raid Zach Chap. Done. I'm sorry I'm cutting this, guys. I can't say no to that. I haven't spent much time with our son over the last couple of days, just been doing a whole bunch of stuff. That's something I just can't say no to. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. And I will see you all tomorrow. Please take care. Rest well. Redolent, thank you so much for the raid. Carol Kick, thank you so much for the raid. Thank you, raiders. Thank you, mods, for keeping this going. Thank you so much, everybody. Much love. Thank you so much for being here, for supporting me. And I will see you all tomorrow. Kakite, everybody. Kakite Pomarie. Please enjoy Zach Chap's live. Remember, guys, we got to get Zach Chap to partner. It's important. Let's go. Here we go, Twitch. Project Zach Chap to partner, okay? I will tell our son that you guys said goodnight. Project Zach Chap to partner. Let's go. Take care, everybody. Love to all of you. I'll chat with you all soon. Raiding in 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the raid, folks. See you soon. Kakite TikTok. Kakite TikTok. Kakite YouTube. I will see you all soon, okay? Kakite. Pomarie. Free Palestine. Good night, YouTube.